And welcome back to Legally Speaking with the McLario Firm. Well, we spend a lot of time at work, and it's estimated that most people at some point in their life will experience some type of injury on the job.
Yeah, and here to chat about workers' compensation is attorney Mike Bertling from the McLario Firm. We're super excited to have you.
Good to have you back,
Thank you.
Mike.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you.
So injuries are considered workers' compensation when they happen at work?
Right. They have to come from the workplace, but there's two kinds of injuries that are generally dealt with. The first kind's obvious. You get boinked on the head, you get knocked down, you get hurt all at once. It happens at one time, and it's called a traumatic injury. The other kind are a little bit more insidious. They come on over years. They are kind of like a back condition, that because you're lifting a lot at work, you start to notice your back hurts at the job, on the job, and as time goes on, it just gets worse and worse, and eventually you have to stop working. Those are called occupational injuries. They're a little harder to prove than obviously getting hit all at once.
Yeah, I would assume that's probably why people consider retaining an attorney.
Yeah.
So how often, should they and why?
Well, obviously, I think they should retain them all the time. But seriously, though.
Just have it in your back pocket?
Seriously, you probably will know if you have to go to a lawyer.
Yeah.
If things are going well, you're getting your bills paid for, you're getting your time off paid for, and things are getting better and you're not, you don't have the kind of injury that's going to be long term, you probably don't need a lawyer.
Okay.
But if things are going a little bit bad for you, you kind of feel uncomfortable, you kind of wonder what's happening, and you don't think you're being treated fairly, then you should go to a lawyer.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's a good point.
Yeah, when to know when to hire one.
Right.
How do the fees work?
Well, that's kind of the nice thing about workers' comp. The fees are only there if the attorney goes out and gets you some more money than you're going to get otherwise. That means that you can come to see an attorney, and this is why you might want to do it earlier on. And if you're getting money, everything's being covered, the attorney doesn't get a fee, but you have the attorney there that you can call up and talk to. And I really encourage a lot of people who come to see me, even if things are going well, I kind of know things aren't going to continue that way.
Yeah.
And so I say, hey, you can hire me. I don't take a fee. I'm just in the background. They don't even know you have a lawyer.
Okay.
And then if things go south, I'm there. And if I get you more money than you would have gotten otherwise, my fee is based on that additional sum. So there's really no downside to hiring a lawyer.
Yeah. So what about the medical exams? What do people need to know there? Do companies usually say, here, we set this up for you? Do you find an independent medical exam? What do you do?
Well, here's what happens with what's called independent medical exams. A person has a claim and it's going forward, they're off work, they're getting their bills paid for, their medical bills, and the insurance company, the workers' compensation insurance company, gets a little tired of that. Now, I'm a little jaded because I represent—
Do this all the time.
I represent employees, but I think insurance companies get a little tired of paying, so they send you to what's called an independent medical exam. They're anything but independent. They pick the doctor's paid a lot of money, and the insurance company pretty much knows exactly what they're going to say. So they use that independent medical exam to cut you off. And now they have a medical opinion that supports that. So the problem is, though, if your employer or the workers' compensation insurance company says you have to go to one, you have to go to one.
You do?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean they're right.
Right.
Or that everybody's going to listen to that opinion, but you have to at least go through that process, it sounds like.
And usually if you're going to one, it's a good time to see a lawyer because things are probably going to go south pretty quick.
Right.
Good to know.
So when an employee then is off of work, you mentioned the two different types of injuries. So if an employee then is off of work, how are they compensated? Yeah,
when you're off work in your recovery stage, they call that temporary total disability payments. And basically they're calculated by 2/3 of your average weekly wage. And so you get that as long as you're recovering from your injury. Then when you've recovered, that stops, but then you start talking about permanent disability payments if it's a permanent injury.
So permanent injury is different?
Yeah, basically what that is, it's a different calculation. Your doctor will be asked to put a percentage on your injury, and that's kind of weird, but they say you have a 10% permanent partial disability to your neck or your elbow or whatever. The law in Wisconsin then compensates you for that differently depending on what part of your body is injured. And there's a certain chart you can look at, and if your doctor says 10%, their doctor might say 5%, and then you have an issue you have to work out.
Always important, I think, to consult an expert, because there are things like pain and suffering, loss of future wages. There's a lot of things to try to hammer out.
There is, but I should say there is no pain and suffering in workers' comp.
There is none.
There is none.
Okay.
No, it's all based on these disability calculations. And people say that, you know, they go through all sorts of terrible pain, but they don't get compensated for that. So if you have pain and suffering and you have the right kind of case, you can make a civil claim against a negligent party, but that's
separate.
different than workers' comp.
Good to know, Mike. I did not know that.
This is why you got to talk to somebody who knows what they're doing.
Thank you so much for
Good to
being
see
here.
you, Mike.
All right,
If you
thank
have questions about workers' compensation, you can give the attorneys at the McLario Firm a call for a free consult. The number is 262-251-4210, or for more information, you can visit their website. It's McLario.com.